Back to another one of my Feng Shui talks. I'm Jess from Neary Feng Shui, and I'm super excited to have you here. Tonight, I am going to be joined with a special guest. Her name is Amanda Bedard, and she is going to be the expert that we're going to talk about intimacy and connection with. Hi, welcome. Just gonna wait for Amanda to pop on. How is everyone doing this evening? And also, I should mention that if you're catching the replay, please comment on the post and we will be answering questions. Hi, Harmony in the house. Hi, Art by Petunas. Thank you for joining. Now, we're going to talk all about intimacy and connection, and this topic is so important. We're in the month of February, of course, and this is... Oh, there's Amanda. And this month is all about love, the love vibes. It's definitely, looking in the sense of a romantic relationship, but this is looking at our own self-love as well. So I'm super excited. Connecting. Awesome. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I was on the other page. This is my first time doing this. So I was like, I think I'm in the right place. And anyway, we're here.
Hey, it's all full of like learning lessons. And I mean, I had my first time not too long ago. So it's all good. How's it going?
Good. It's lovely here in Calgary, a little overcast, but honestly, I adore having like daylight. I mean, I'm from New Brunswick, so I'm like, I kind of don't miss the like freezing rain and everything. But yeah, I think it's a time of shifting for everyone. So for me, yeah, I moved into a new house and I've settled in, and I pop onto your page and I'm like, what's Jess saying about creating like good high vibrational space? And yeah, so it finally feels like I'm settled in and that my space feels inspirational to like get to my creative work. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, but I'm good. It's like there is a vision and a quest and I'm on it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And it's so much fun from my side of things, watching yourself too really grow and blossom into this wild, exuberant, abundant woman. And so I'm super excited to have you on here tonight or this afternoon in Calgary, and just to talk about intimacy and connection, because it is so prevalent, it's so important to channeling positivity into all our relationships, when we're able to kind of drop the barriers, become intimate, and open up to that connection with another person, with ourselves. I mean, I don't know if that necessarily matters if at the core of it, it's all about that self-love, and that joy and that unconditional love, I guess, that we can experience and feel.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, intimacy and connection are like my thing. I think that, it's something that I struggled with a lot when I was younger. And I know that sometimes like the hardest things that we need to heal are kind of like our nuggets for what we have to do in our like adult lives. And so I've always felt like a draw to it, but after time and doing so many workshops and so much school and so much like certification, I've really come to this place where I want to like, it's not just sex and intimacy. Right. Like I want to like make love with life, I want to love making tea. I want to love, like walking down the street, like loving everything. So intimacy for me is like something that, it comes with self-love. It comes from like doing the work and all of that. But it's like, I think it's a super healing process as well to be like intimate with life, be really like intimate and in tune with like the conversations you're having, with like you and I, like me and a
Yeah.
child, me and like the person on the street, you know, like I think we can project
Mm.
love and light and like so much energy with just like the tiny little minute things that we do. So like
Yeah.
me in my practice, I teach people and what like I don't even want to say that I teach. It's like I make them aware of
Hmm.
like how you can pull that energy. And it's the same thing with what you do, is like creating love and sacred space with good like high vibrational flow. It's like that's a state of being. That is like a
Yeah.
way, that's an internal compass. And when you start to like look up from I'm just gonna go going off on a tangent now. I'm excited to
Go
see
for
you.
it. This is awesome.
But when you can like, yeah, just put the things down, like the distractions, and
Yeah.
like really pay attention and like, yeah, just make those connections with the little tiny things in life. That's when that's when you get to a place of being like intimate with life.
Yeah.
And that's my mission for
Yeah.
sure. Mm.
Oh, I love that so much. Now, for those that are popping on, we're talking all about intimacy and connection. Now, I have worked with Amanda in the past. I've joined a couple different ceremonies that she's held when she's back home visiting in New Brunswick, Canada. And I've also connected with her virtually for a long 3-day retreat with my husband. So we've been in touch during kind of my own developments and growth, all on this topic of intimacy and connection. And I know you hold such beautiful space for having these big transformations, because when we're talking about sex, when we're talking about intimacy, when we're talking about really being vulnerable and opening ourselves up to another person, or even, like I mentioned before, just to ourselves, even, there's this fragility or sensitivity with that. And I really feel like you hold such beautiful space for everything to kind of come up and be discussed. And I know when I was a part of one of your workshops here locally, we had talked about the erotic blueprints. And we talked about a few other things, of course, that kind of spawn off of that topic. But I was wondering if you could give like a very quick synopsis of what the blueprint is, or the erotic blueprints are or is, and how those watching may be able to find out their own blueprint as well.
Yeah, totally. So the erotic blueprints, it's something that's created by Jaya, and she's a world-renowned sexologist out of Colorado, and won't go down a story, but it fell into my lap at like the perfect time. And I took the erotic blueprint breakthrough course, and I then decided to become a coach because it
Yeah.
transformed my life so much. I was like, this is a language for sex and sexuality and
Yeah.
intimacy that is a place where every little corner of your sexuality
Mm.
is accepted. Because I think a lot of the time, I'm getting off topic, I'm coming back.
Go for it.
But, you know, like, I think a lot, I had done like Tantra workshops, I had done, you know, yoni egg meditations, I had
Yeah.
done just all these different workshops, but I was like, this is the one place that I have found where it covers all the bases.
Yeah.
And so the erotic blueprint the erotic blueprint in a nutshell is your blueprint
Mm.
type, your sexuality stage, and then the obstacles and pathways to sexual health and pleasure. And so the blueprint types within that are energetic, sexual, sensual, kinky, and shapeshifter. So the energetic is someone who is extremely turned on by space and
Mm-hmm.
tease and longing and drawing things out. Like they are down to take things very slow. There is like a light energetic and a dark energetic. Like you can imagine like an energetic is someone whose like energy is quite open,
Yeah.
and they can kind of, you can tell that they get a little bit shut down if you get too fast, too quick, too soon. And that's the
Right.
same thing with like intimacy and, you know, rushing for the
Mm.
orgasm. They're the type that's like the shadow side, that may shut down or feel like no pleasure at all in their body if they don't feel like space and connection, and if things go to their genitals too quick, too soon.
Right.
Yeah, and then the sensual is someone who is just, so how I always explain it is like energetic is like off the body. Okay, like space, like they can feel energy, like they can feel your aura. So they're turned on by even like eye gazing in just that
Just the
space.
intention.
Yeah, intentional, right?
Yeah, the
And
thought.
they, there'll be people who like wear crystals. I'm totally generalizing because as you move through like this program and this like stuff, you realize you're like on everything, right? But it's a really good building block of like where to start. But the sensual is someone who is like so turned on by the senses, like beautiful smells, beautiful decor, like chocolate and sweets and good food and wining and dining and just like the typical, I guess, like stereotypical like romance, right? They really love like cuddling and deep massage. It's like from off the body to onto the body, right? And so they'll love like long deep tissue massages and running hot baths. Like that's their pathway to intimacy. And the shadow side of that is like if the smell is off in the room, it can like take them out. If there's too much going on in the brain, they're
laundry
like
sitting in the corner.
they're thinking about the socks on the floor and they're like, God, this space isn't right, right? So if you have a sensual in your life and you want to like facilitate or initiate intimacy, like get the space perfect, right? And ask them what they like, right? So the sensual, just the senses, if things are off in like the senses kind of realm, they can just get out of their body. Like they really need that like hugging pressure, like grounding energy to feel open to receiving pleasure. The sexual is also like the stereotypical like male, and I don't really like using male or female, but it's, you know, we'll get into non-binary stuff like in another conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, the people who are really turned on by naked bodies, genitals, like oral play, they are just really turned on really quickly. Like they don't need that space, that anticipation, that tease, like the lovey-dovey. They are like, oh baby, I see you.
Ready.
You just turn me on and I am like ready for penetration.
Right.
And so, you know, sexuals and sexuals get like, if you have two partners that are sexual and sexual, they have all of the fun because it's like they don't need all that space and that time. Not to say that like they don't enjoy that. That's just like their normal like innate wiring.
Right.
The kind of shadow aspect of that is that if you are mismatched, the other person could shut down or could be like, well, all you care about is like just like sex, right? Like just like penetration. And so I love this so much because you can communicate. You're like, whoa, dude, or babe, or whatever. Your sexual is just acting up. Like I need, you know.
We need to balance
this out. It doesn't mean that they lack depth or anything like that. Right. It's just their wiring. And then the kinky, and this is where they're like, everyone's like, oh, kinky. It's so misunderstood in my mind because kink, it is such an expansive place to play with sex and intimacy. Kink is whatever is taboo to you. So like if having sex outside of missionary is like a bound, not a boundary, but like pushing a limit, you're like, oh, like that could be auxiliary. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm being so naughty, right? So it's like, what's naughty? And like, they're honestly, of all the blueprints, they're tend to be the most creative because you can have a sensation-based kink who really likes like deep scratches or more like restraint or rope or maybe like harder slaps. There's like nothing wrong with that at all. Like it's, I love it. And then there's a sensation kink, and then there's like the psychological kink. So what turns this person on is like creating a scene, like an intellectual connection that just, yeah, the other blueprints don't, like they have it, but this one's like specifically like fantasy and
Role
creating like
play is kind
role
of what I'm
playing,
thinking.
yeah,
Yeah.
power dynamics and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
and the shadow aspect of that blueprint is that there can be shame. There can be
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
mismatches along the way, like
Yeah.
perhaps, you know, if you don't have the proper communication skills for facilitating those kinds of things or initiating those kinds of things like fantasy or scratching or slaps or something like that,
Yeah.
they may have been told off, you know, like,
Sure.
and they might have been made wrong somewhere along the line if they like high heels and bright yellow rain jacket and wig. Like, do you know what I mean? But
Right.
any of the blueprints can play in that. So yeah, there can be some healing there, but when a kink
Right.
is healed, they're a whole lot of fun. Like a whole like there's never end
Yeah.
to fantasy, right? And then the last is the shapeshifter, and the shapeshifter is turned on by all of the blueprints, all of the things
Yeah.
that turn on all the other blueprints. Um, some people think they're like true shapeshifters, but they're only really like a stack of like three. But to be
Yeah.
a true shapeshifter, you have to really like enjoy everything. Now there is like a shadow aspect of this, and it could be like you're in the shadow of the energetic, the shadow of the sensual, like the shadow of all of them. And so that's another place to go into healing. But
Yeah.
yeah, what
Absolutely.
turns them on one day and what might have been like an epic, you know, feeding is what we call it in the blueprints, you know, and it might not turn them on the next day. Like they like
Yeah.
variety, they like change, they're always changing, and yeah, that's it in a nutshell. The
Yeah, and
blueprints.
I love that. And I love how you talked also briefly about this. Now I know a little bit more about that just from my own experience
Yeah.
with the blueprints. But when there's a mismatch in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship, and now of course I'm talking about a romantic relationship, so partner or someone you're seeing, multiple partners. I mean, it's all open, it's all valid. Um, and working through the blueprints. So, first discovering maybe your own type and learning more about yourself, which I believe that there's a quick link to take the quiz as well through your page. Am I
Yeah, if
correct?
you just
Okay,
follow the link in my
perfect.
bio, it says
Yeah,
Erotic Blueprint Quiz, and then there's some like little kissy lips on there. If you just go into my
perfect.
profile, click on the link, it'll take you straight there.
Perfect. So those that are watching and are thinking, "Oh, I'm so curious about what my type may be," you can go to Amanda's page and you can check this link so you can fill out the quiz and find out your erotic blueprint type. Um, it was incredibly revealing to myself, incredibly revealing to my husband as well. And then when we were comparing notes, it was really interesting because I was able to see things from his perspective, from a totally different angle, and he was able to see it from a different angle too. I have noticed too that the house is more clean
Mhm.
than in the past, but it's this language that we've been able to establish. Yeah, worth it. He's watching right now.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this language of communication. And I know that, at the core of all relationships is this communication. Communication is key. It's something we hear about all the time. When we have that language to communicate, it just opens up that discussion so much. And those conversations are huge and monumental for healing. And that's where both my husband and I were able to, I guess, meet in the middle and be like, oh, well, here's how I'm coming into this. Here's how I'm coming into this. Here's how we can be together. And it's really been this beautiful experience of us coming together and then growing together as well. Whereas before, there was a lot of missing information, I guess,
Mm.
missing knowledge to finding out more about what we like or not like, what we might want to explore more in the future, that sort of thing. And so it was this really beautiful opportunity. Now, we talked about the erotic blueprints, we talked about the quiz. Um, I'm really curious because this is where Feng Shui fits into the erotic blueprints. Now, we talked a little bit about how Sensual really likes to have all their senses kind of stimulated different ways. And so if you have clutter, or if something's not quite right in this space, it could really be a quick turn off, or to get out and the wall could come back down. It could kind of disrupt that connection and intimacy. And when I was learning about the blueprints, it was really fun to learn about how we can actually name our bedrooms or name our spaces to a way that's able to communicate, or just kind of create that sacred space for yourself, or for, you know, partnerships and that sort of thing. So I know that there's all kinds of different names that are used as examples, but I was wondering if you could elaborate a little more on that as well.
What do you mean, like the names? Like the blueprint type names, or?
Kind of, but I know because from when we were in the class,
Yeah.
or when I was in class with you, and we were having to sit and talk about what we wanted to call our space. So I know there was like Zen Den,
Oh,
you know, yeah.
yes. Well, that's getting more into like the language
Okay.
of the
Mm-hmm.
blueprint. So if I
Oh, yes.
I will backtrack 1 second, then I'll come back to this.
Yeah.
Another aspect of like the whole blueprint is your sexuality stage. So you can be in resting, healing, curious, adventurous, or transformational. So that has a whole other like component onto like what your blueprint type is. And so in the Erotic Blueprint Breakthrough course, we talk about, you know, discovering your blueprint, learning how to feed your blueprint. So like, you know, if your partner, your ex and your partner is a different one, how to give them what they need. So you get really, really good with like hands-on stuff. And then there's another unit on, or module on, speaking the blueprints. So language is so much too, but also like vocal tone. And yeah, when we got into the words, I just pulled a bunch out, to be honest, because you know, like you want to, like a, say an energetic, like a true energetic, they may want to say words like, I want to feel you, like I want to feel connected to you, I want to go to our pleasure portal, or our universal escape, you know what I mean, like any like those kinds of words. And then the like sensual may say like, I want to go to my juicy luxurious boudoir. You know what I mean? So and like yeah, and like the energetic will say some, like say it in kind of more of an open, like, you know, spacious, like time between the words. And so, you know, if they're really like an energetic really turned on by space and anticipation and tease, they may be like, babe, I want to go and take you to places you've never been. You know what I mean? Like there's like that space. And then, you know, like a sensual may be like closer because they're into closeness, and it's more of like a juicy, sensual kind of way of saying things. And then who knows, like and this is where like kink goes on forever, right?
Oh, for sure.
It could be like, I want to go to our pleasure den. I want to, and there's so many different words for like the bedroom, but also like the genitals, and like, you know, using explicit talk. And so yeah, the kinky could be, it could be just like a fantasy kind of thing, or it could be, you know, a sexual position. And then going into the sexual, it could be like, babe, I want to bang, like I want to fuck, like, like it's like that direct, straight to the point, like forward kind of way. And then yeah, the shapeshifter would probably be all of like a long sentence, like, lover, I want to go and caress your infinite pleasure. I'm just making up words as I go. And then I want to fuck you silly until we, I don't know.
Or like volcanoes
like,
or
yeah,
something.
Until the whole world shakes, something like that. So yeah, language is it's a huge part. And like knowing, and so like I think we played the game like it was like, you know, I'm just gonna say a list of words for the vulva or the lingam or cock, whatever you want to use those words, you can play like a simple game with your partner, just being like, I'm going to name 5 words. You're going to shut your eyes. I'm going to say them one at a time, like which one, and like not judging yourself for which one actually brings up something, but be like, which one turns you on? Which one had a
Right.
body response, you know? And so,
Mm,
yeah,
hmm.
language is cool. That's really cool,
Yeah.
especially when you have like you said, the
Yeah.
language to of the blueprints to utilize.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting too because, and Ruby, yes, that's right. Ruby was like that worked when you were doing the space between the words for the energetic.
Yeah.
The
Because they
space
feel
it
present and
totally gets
seen,
it.
and yeah, totally.
Absolutely. And um, oh gosh, I just lost the trail of thought of where I was going with that. But the language, yes, finding the language and then being able to expand on that once you are comfortable with that set little like set words, but being comfortable with the ones that resonate with you and
Mm-hmm.
being open to that as well, because it could be surprising for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Now, I'm curious to talk a little more about feng shui and our bedrooms or our spaces and how or what kind of role this plays with intimacy and connection. Now, I know I do resonate with an energetic. It is there for sure in my in my blueprint.
Yeah.
So this is something. Oh, thank you so much. Great conversation and insight. Thank you so much for joining us. This is where I really fit in because I'm all about space and creating an atmosphere that is high vibe but feels good and it's really offers the potential to really connect inward. And looking at our bedrooms, that's one of the most influential spaces in our entire home for our own personal energy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and now this goes to our own personal energy on, our sleep and how we take care of ourselves, looking at pleasure, intimacy, and having that passion for ourselves and with partners, whether that's your spouse or not. I mean, ensuring that your bedroom is set up for this intimacy and connection is so important. So there's a few things that you want to keep in mind when you're creating your master bedroom and ensuring that it's set up to really just open up and receive this information to really feel into the vibes with your partner. And one thing is having your bed in the command position. And now the command position is having your headboard against a solid wall behind you. So you wouldn't have a window behind your bed, for example, but you're able to see the front door or the door to your bedroom when you're laying down. And this is so important because when we're in the command position, that is also known as the power position, but we're in this really powerful position. We're able to see any sort of threats that may be coming at us. It's just an instinctual position that we want to be in. And it is one of the first things that we can do to set up a bedroom space to have it be more um, cozy, comfortable. Uh, Maybe if you are an energetic or a sensual, to be able to get out of your headspace and to be able to be more present in your body because you're not thinking about a few other things that may happen, which subconsciously does come up. And it can be a drain to our personal energy as well. But another thing that we want to keep in mind when we're setting up our bedroom is to think in pairs and think of having, for example, matching nightstands on either side of your bed, having potentially matching lamps on either side, but creating that balance in the bedroom to create the space for both partners in a relationship. And it's really important because if, for example, we have the bed pushed up against the side of the wall, we only have access to one side of the bed, it can be a little bit of a power struggle and actually could come in between a relationship. So ensuring that the bedroom is set up optimally for both partners is going to be huge at establishing that energy for sharing your space, sharing your life, and offering that moment of intimacy and connection as well. Um, Now you mentioned scents, and I've got because I was going to ask you as well what scents you would recommend. And specifically because both Amanda and I, we use and we both are wellness advocates for doTERRA as well. But when I was going through the different oil selections, and I was looking for one intentionally for our bedroom, so when I went into the shop, it was with that train of thought. And the one that I found was the Passion Touch.
Mm-hmm.
Passion Touch. And I love it so much. I'm wearing it right now. I find it so warming, comforting, soothing. And I know that there's some really powerful oils in here as well that are, I don't want to say aphrodisiac. That might be a little bit too extreme, but gets the blood pumping. So it gets things moving, which is really fabulous for those moments when we want to be intimate. What other scents do you recommend?
Ooh, I really love, so rose is really, really good because it's one of the highest vibrational oils and it's very heart opening. And if you are sensual or into exchanging like massage or something like that, like I mean, I know all kinds of different massages, but I really love rose for especially, well, I mean, I love it for both sexes, to be honest, or everyone, I should say, is like an intuitive brush massage and those kinds of things. But for really like connecting the heart to the genitals, right? Because, yeah, and just to bring it in such a loving energy. It is a very, so I love rose, but it is, it's sourced from like Bulgaria and it takes like 1,000,000 petals to create like a tiny little thing. So it's quite expensive. The second best to that would be geranium. If you can't, if like for financial reasons, it's another high vibrational, very, very feminine. But I really love Whisper. It's the women's blend and it's very balancing for the hormones. But if I'm going to, because I like a room spray that I spray in my room before like intimacy.
Perfect.
And I really love it mixed with cassia. Cassia is it just gets blood flowing, blood flow going,
pumping.
And it's spicy, so I feel as though like the mix between Whisper, it's very feminine and sweet, but then the mix of that cassia, that spice, or like clove, or no, not clove, I'm thinking cinnamon or cassia, like they're very spicy, and I feel like they just balance that root and second chakra. And so I really like those for just spraying in the room, but using on the body, I like rose and jasmine, and they're really, really, really beautiful. And then if you're intentional about your sexual experiences and you want to use sex and intimacy as a healing modality, any of the like aroma touch line, forgive, peace, they're all really, really lovely. But yeah, my personal favorites are just blending things that are like a little bit floral and sweet with spice. Because then it's a real, I don't know, it's just a warm, it creates a warm, it's like a hug for me. So
I hear you.
If you have something that's too floral or too light, I find it's you have to have that balance, that polarity, right? And I like that polarity and that balance and that flow in the bedroom, for sure.
I love that. Now, what about a more masculine scent? So what first comes to mind for me is cedarwood, but I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, because some men could be like totally off with florals, right? Because it could be quite feminine, but thinking of the balance, I know that there'd be some others that might.
Sandalwood for sure.
Sandalwood.
I love sandalwood. And there's Hawaiian sandalwood, and then the other one, I think it comes from India. Now I'm just looking up here because I've got them all up there. Clary Sage is more of a grounding floral too, but also very good for hormone, like balancing hormones. And then vetiver I wouldn't suggest because it's a natural sedative, so you might just fall asleep. But if you are then this is where oils are so awesome, because everyone's like, individual chemical composition is different. So if you're a very, very like high strung, like
Yeah.
person, vetiver could actually really help
Bring it to that
bring
level.
it down. But I know
Yeah.
me, I am like I'm grounded. I'm very like a
Yeah.
low bassy energy. If I put vetiver on my feet or diffuse it or spray it around, I'll probably be like,
Good night.
but yeah, I really like any of the furs. So there's like balsam
Yeah.
fir. What am I trying to think of? Hold that second.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Black spruce. Black spruce
I
is
was
really,
thinking black
really nice.
spruce. Yeah,
And
I
I
just
really
got
like
that.
these ones because it doesn't take much. You know, like if you have it in the
Yeah.
diffuser,
One drop with the
one
mix.
drop with
Yeah.
other oils, it really goes a long
Yeah.
way. Um, oh, there's so many different oils
Mm-hmm.
because, like, I I like to create an ambiance. So like for
Yeah.
me, if you're going to be doing more of an energetic kind of session or feeding or whatever intimate time, if you're doing more like breath work or like synchronized breathing
Right.
in that kind of way, eucalyptus could be really lovely for opening
Right.
up the airways. But yeah, if I really like I really like rose and I really like jasmine
Mm-hmm.
and anything that's a little bit
Yeah.
more like spicy mixed with a
Mm.
floral. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like
like
that
that.
women's
Yeah.
blend. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not one note, it's this
Mhm.
dynamic mix. And two, it's so customizable. So I mean you can always just play with
Yeah.
whatever mix you want for the night or for the day or what have you.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
And see, for
Yeah.
me, when I even think about it, now that you've asked me that and it's kind of settled in, like I see, say if you're having a kink scene and it's very, you got a costume on and it's very playful and
Right.
yeah, and I see citrus in that.
Mm-hmm.
I see um wild orange, the oil of abundance. I see lemon, joy. I see that
Yeah.
like if you're playing around and
In
moving
that.
around a lot,
Yeah.
it's an uplifting energy, the citrus is. But yeah, and more of a sensual would be, yeah, that more like spicy and warm, and then more
Mm.
like energetic would be sandalwood or frankincense, a very
Yeah.
spiritual, like high vibrational, even
Yeah.
Roman chamomile.
Mm.
Yeah, and see, that's where you get into essential oils and the blueprints, right? But yeah, essential oils are beautiful because they can create a whole vibe, like a whole vibration, a whole
Absolutely.
atmosphere
Yeah.
to facilitate what your intention is
Yeah.
when being intimate.
Absolutely. So for those that are jumping on now or who have joined on, because there have been so many names that have jumped on, we're talking about intimacy and connection. We went through the erotic blueprint quiz. And if you're interested in finding your own blueprint, you can go to Amanda's Instagram page, and in her link tree there's the quiz, access to the quiz. Once
Yeah.
you figure that out, we talked all about setting up the space, and we've been talking about essential oils and ways that we can create the vibe that's going to really allow for that intimacy and connection, those opportunities as well. So that's fantastic. Is there anything else that you'd like to add on this topic?
Yeah, I could just see. Oh, I could go on forever. But if you want to like combine what you do and what I do, in my
Mm,
mind, if I want to create a
okay, yeah.
space to facilitate or to um, really encompass like an energetic space,
Yeah.
I see elements of the earth. So like
Yeah,
crystals,
definitely.
maybe wood things, sage, like salt lamps.
Hmm. Yeah.
Just yeah,
And I
I
always
see
see,
that.
yeah, and I always see rose quartz. And I have my hands like this because I'm thinking of
Yeah,
two, having
yeah,
doubles in the bedroom.
yeah,
So like two rose quartz, beautiful,
yeah,
wonderful to add in. I mean, of course, it doesn't have to be rose quartz. I mean, it could be a whole host of different types of crystals with a
yeah.
specific intention and
Oh,
activation.
yeah.
But I mean, creating this scene that is high vibe, that's going to be supporting your blueprint,
Mhm.
supporting who you are and what it is that you need to feel seen, heard, fed. That's
Mhm.
an important word
Yeah.
from tonight's conversation. So I think that's wonderful. And too, like talking about touch and
Yeah, that's
having
what I
like
was gonna go on
soft,
to next. Like the sensual, like have
yeah,
things fuzzy, like no
yeah,
mess on the floor, nice smells, subtle music, and like you can even get into music in the different blueprints.
absolutely.
You know, the sexual, you don't have to do very much, to be honest. Have some toys, some vibrators,
Yeah.
dildos, different things. I mean, obviously everyone has their own, you know. And then, you know, if you want to facilitate, you know, something with a kink and you're into shibari, maybe being, yeah, setting up the room or cleaning up the room and just putting like rope at the end of the bed and be
Right.
like, oh, I need something from the bedroom. Will you go get it? And that can just like that visual of being like, you know, that can
Yeah.
be if we're talking about bedroom and environment or,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's
There's
so
that
many different
visual
things.
stimulation.
Yeah,
And we
totally.
talked a little bit about that before too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Ah,
And yeah, those and just having I like for me, I'm moving into shapeshifter territory. So if I think about my bedroom, like I am a total advocate for yoni eggs and crystal wand and glass pleasure tools over
right.
like silicone or petroleum based. And like I think it's really important to not overstimulate with excessive
Mm-hmm.
vibration. But I have a little feather duster like in like visually there, and I have like a little pinwheel, and I have yeah, I just have my tools accessible, right? Because
Yeah.
they need to be within reach and like they need to be I feel like
Yeah.
in sight because like to bring this full circle, I really believe in living life from pleasure and like
Yeah.
my self pleasure practice is solid like my
Right.
intimate my pleasure with my partner is
Yeah.
amazing and just having the bedroom be that place for like loving energy and using that energy for manifestation and creating
Yeah.
connection it like for me it's a daily practice like
Yeah.
pleasure
Yeah.
is a daily practice and it doesn't have to like I said at the beginning it can be just like loving like just
Making a glass
self-touch
of
you know
tea.
like exactly yeah like a good long kiss yeah for sure
Right.
so
Yeah.
yeah my room I set it up to just remind myself yes pleasure first I mean and you
Yeah.
know that line
Yeah. Oh,
pleasure first you know
absolutely.
like you have to raise your own vibe and give
Yeah.
yourself what you need and yeah my room is just set up that way
I
I
love
think
that.
it's important to set up your bedroom that way, for sure.
Absolutely. Especially the bedroom. I mean, because it is such an intimate space, regardless, it is like the most intimate space for yourself. I was giggling a little bit just a moment ago because we were talking about setting up our bedroom and having like toys and, visual cues on display. And I laughed because I just heard like a few weeks ago that Miley Cyrus actually has all her dildos on display around her house, like on her mantle over her fireplace and everything. I have to try and get a photo, and if I do, I should actually
See,
share it.
I see the sexual and the kinky just coming out full, but I mean, like Miley
Oh
Cyrus. I
yeah,
mean, I remember when I saw her, I was like twerking. I'm like, wow, that is like just sexual, you know, very raunchy and like,
yeah.
who am I trying to think? Little Kim, you know.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just like,
yes,
and you start to
yeah,
when you know the language, you start to just pick out people. But you know, that's someone who. And shapeshifter too, like someone who doesn't want to just be intimate in the bedroom. They want to be intimate all over the house and
yeah,
keeping things I mean it's different when you have kids well I don't know it depends on who you are right
yeah,
but yeah like I
yeah.
love that because she carries no shame about
No,
her sexuality and how she wants to express her sexuality and
yeah,
where she wants to be intimate and you
yeah,
never know when that moment is going to come up and you're going to be like you
yeah,
know fumbling around trying to find things and you're like well now it's kind of gone right so I think it's good to
yeah.
have it there.
Super convenient, super easy and accessible. And I think that is super important. And no matter what space you're looking to create, is that whatever is supporting you, whether that's, your toys or whatnot, that it's accessible and it's easy to to get to and it's convenient for you. Otherwise, it'll just be at the back of the drawer or corner, just kind of collecting dust, and
Totally.
that's not really the best place or best use for it too. So awesome. So how can someone work with you, and what do you do?
Okay, so people can work with me two different ways. If you've been watching this and you feel like I need to know this information and I want to do, so the course is specifically called the Erotic Blueprint Breakthrough Course, and I'm a certified erotic blueprint coach through Jaya Inc. And so we can go through the 8-module course together. We do a module, then you have a 90-minute session with me where we set goals. We get to the bottom of what you want. And I am not the type of person who is about to get drowned in stories. I'm not really about stories. I'm about getting to the core of like what is underneath it all. Because I thought we sometimes use far too many words to get to the point. And so I really go deep, dive in quite quick. And it's an 8-module course, and I take you through that. Or if you're someone who is just looking for perspective, looking for support, looking for a more open-ended like mentorship, I do just one-on-one work, you know, and I really, really love that because so many times I've tried to put myself in a box, but I find with me and my coaching, I know what to say when you're right in front of me. I know I'm a very intuitive person, and I call you on your bullshit, basically. And,
in a very loving way.
We can go into intimacy and connection in that way. But, you know, I just saw Engel actually popped on there. Like, I'm a pranayama. Like, I have pranayama teacher training, so we can go into breath work. We can go into guided meditation. We can go into, just how to set your home up, how to live intentionally, how to set up like your morning, your afternoon, and your evening so that your time management is so much better than what you already have, and you're getting out of life what you want. I work one-on-one with people who just want to have a call, jump on, have an issue. I don't want to even use the word issue, but have something that you want, an area of your life that you want to work on, and go into that.
The focus.
Because like we met each other through a women's circle, right? And I really love circle and open conversation and free flow. And those are the two ways that I'm working with people right now. So I'm taking them through the Erotic Blueprint Breakthrough course, and I love that because I love seeing like the
ahas.
I love it. There's like, you know, there's things that bring joy, and there's those things that, you know, like, I don't know, just spark that like butterflies in you, and I love it so much when people are like, I get it now, and like, you know what I mean? Like, I am so energetic and my partner is so sexual. No,
all of a sudden things clicked.
Him for like so long, and so it brings me so much joy to just be a reflection, a mirror to people with just one-on-one general coaching. And it brings me a lot of pleasure to take people through the Erotic Blueprint Breakthrough course so that they can find their language for their needs, their wants, and their desires, and how to get what they want without being like, you don't do this, and you know what I mean? But like communication and being like, I mean, and even as womb bearers, you know, it's different throughout the month as well. And be like, you know, when your partner is in tune with your cycle and your needs and everything, it's like, all right, she's about to start her bleed. We give her space, you know, she's going to get moody. Don't trigger, you know what I mean? And like, just know that there's more there's more that sensual for most people. And I won't ramble anymore. But those are the two main ways. Is some people just want mentorship. Some people just want a friend. Some people just want someone to talk to. And throughout my entire life, that is where I found myself, is in the corner of a room at a party or something, digging into someone's soul and being like, I lost 2 hours talking to a complete stranger about, you know, I go deep really, really quickly. So that's one of my gifts, and I own that. So yeah, I'm offering just open coaching
Yeah.
and then the erotic
Oh.
blueprint course. Yeah.
Well, I think it's so important that there is someone like yourself that someone can go to and have these discussions with, because oftentimes there's shame or there's some fears that are overlying some of this information. And so, again, what I mentioned in the very beginning is you have this beautiful sacred space that you open up to hold that space for someone is so important, especially in this kind of a topic where someone may feel very vulnerable, you know, or feeling like, you know, exposed a bit. And so being in your presence and being able to communicate with somebody like yourself is so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes this could be like the first time that someone's ever shared that type of information with someone too. So yeah.
Yeah, the amount of
So it's
times
pretty
that's been
big.
said to me, like right off the bat, I've never told anyone that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I gotta follow that, because if someone just told me something is heavy or as emotionally dense as that in the first, you know, I'm like, I have the ability to hold a container that is very strong. And I am kind of a lioness when it comes to boundaries and commitment and and security, because people need that space to feel like they're safe and that what they say is confidential, and to learn that there is someone out there who can hold the density of what they have to share.
Yeah.
That's
right.
I think that sharing and vocalizing things that you might be holding on to for have been holding on to for a very long time, voicing it is like the first step to feeling free, to releasing. Because you know, we release through our eyes, we release through our nose or our mouths, you know, like it's you have and that's why, you know, intimacy I think can be so freaking healing too, is we have these portals where we can release and receive. And I'm all about creating that space that a lot of people have never ever felt or never ever gotten before, without being so afraid of being wrong or shamed or feeling dirty or unworthy.
Absolutely.
I am here to be like stoking your fire to move through.
Absolutely. And I think that is such an important conversation to have. So I'm really grateful that you've taken this time tonight to join myself in this conversation, because it's something that I have never shared or had a conversation about in this channel or in this capacity. And so I'm very grateful for you jumping on the call tonight and having this open conversation. There have been so many people jumping on and commenting. So thank you so much for joining us in this space as well. Amanda, if you want to just quickly say how people can find you, so they can connect with you afterwards.
So I think the best way is you can always go through the link in my bio and you can see what I'm up to, because I'm, like you said, doTERRA wellness advocate. I'm an affiliate with the Yoni Pleasure Palace, and but the best way to get through to me is email or message me on Instagram. Like I am, I'm more on Instagram. And anyway, but K, the letter K, Amanda Bedard at, or sorry, no, that's my personal email. Wrong. kabedardcoaching@gmail.com. And you can find that link. You can find that link like through my link tree in my bio.
Right in your
I have
page.
it all linked on there. And I just started a YouTube channel as well. That's going to be like a bit of a side project, because I always have so much content coming out in my brain. I'm like, I need to share. So follow me on there, give me a like and a subscribe, and tell me what you want to see. Tell me what you want me to do a video on, because I'm really keen on doing like series and stuff. Email or message me on Instagram. Like I'm on there, and those are my platforms pretty much.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda, for joining me. And if you're wanting more information too on feng shuiing your space, you want to look more at your bedroom and how you can set it up for intimacy and connection, you can always find out more or message me here right on Instagram at Just Neary Feng Shui. And you'll be able to see me next time when I have another feng shui talk with another expert as well in their field. But thank you so much for joining me, Amanda, and I'll be chatting with you right after this.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait, here before we go, because I know the comments kind of disappear once.
Oh yeah, let's do a
As a
little
life,
shuffle through because I wasn't watching at
yeah,
all.
I've been watching, and the one just popped in. As a life coach, I experience that intimacy and connection is always a space where a lot of healing takes place.
Mm.
Yes, absolutely. It is, I want to say, one of the catalysts too to unlocking so much healing within other channels or other parts of our life. Oftentimes, it's this intimacy and connection that's like the link or the breakthrough, or where the breakthrough needs to happen to access those other healing parts as well. So yes, thank you so much for sharing that as well.
Yeah, and for me,
Yeah.
honestly, like I think
Mm,
that, our pleasure is the seat of creativity. And
mm,
throughout our life and our programming and everything that we've been told at a very young age, it's like put your clothes on,
yeah,
don't touch yourself. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Don't have, if you have your breast out, oh, look, like, you know what I mean? I'm a slut, like, or
yeah,
you're a slut, And so there's
right.
been so much
Yeah.
shaming around our, I mean, I could go on off about, we won't go on those topics. I mean, another tangent of
We'll
Amanda's
have another
crazy
one.
mind. But, you know, you, there's, when you disconnect people from their sacred space and their
Right.
sexuality, you shut them off from their creativity, and they're a lot easier to, get put into the system. And so, yes, intimacy and connection with yourself and your pleasure center. It's
Mm,
yeah, it's for me. It's the number one area from if you live it from pleasure and from this place of connection with the world and yourself around you, like everything from there flows. Your life, your
yeah.
work, your relationships, your joy, your intuition. Like so. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely intimacy and because
Absolutely.
yeah, it's been an area where I think it's been just shut down.
Mm, yeah. It's opening up.
Yeah.
We're coming back
Yeah.
online. So awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you all for joining. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, totally.
All right. See ya.